No bullshit, let's get straight to the point. Guest 1337, who we're going to shorten to Guest, is a character, or the main character, in Oblivion's HD series The Last Guest, and a survivor in the Robloxia Until Dawn inspired game Forsaken. He is a Sentinel survivor and available for purchase for 500 player points. His difficulty is 4 and he has 115 health, which is 15 more than the average survivor. Now, he has 12 regular speed, 24 sprinting speed, 100 stamina, 10 stamina loss per second, 20 stamina gain per second. Now, Guest focuses on offense while also having good defensive capabilities. As Guest, it is your job to be the parent of the group and to protect your fellow survivors, as most of his abilities rely on defense and stunning. So, we'll move on to his first ability, which is block. Using block, he will raise both of his arms and apply resistance 5, invincibility basically, for 1 second, and slowness 6 for 2 seconds. Upon successfully blocking an attack, resistance and slowness are removed from Guest, and he is given speed 1 for 3 seconds. Upon a successful block, you will gain his third ability, which is charge, and we will talk about that later. But for now, here is what a good block should look like when you are using it in game. Now, let's move on to his next ability, which is charge, which has a cooldown of 45 seconds, and I forgot to mention that block has a cooldown of 24 seconds. So, charge, what it does is that Guest will dash forward in a shoulder bash pose for 1.5 seconds. If Guest hits the killer, then the killer is knocked back and gets helpless for 1.25 seconds. Guest becomes invincible for 1.25 seconds. Now, if Guest charges into a killer already charged into 4 seconds prior, they will take 15 damage and charge effects will be nullified. Missing a charge inflicts slowness 2 that lasts for 3 times Guest's distance from the nearest killer divided by 13 in studs. Charge ends if you crash into a wall. Now, Guest cannot gain stamina while charging. So, here is what an example of using charge looks like. Now we'll be moving on to his final ability, and then we'll be moving on to strategies and how to properly use him. So, Punch is an ability where Guest 1337 winds up his fist for 1 second and then punches forward, stunning any killer within his range for 2 seconds. If this ability is used within 1 second of a successful block, then it becomes a parry. Parried punches have a wind-up time of 0.625 seconds and stun the killer for 3.5 seconds. So essentially what you want to do is that you want to block and then punch, because then you'll get a better result out of it. Now, it has a cooldown of 3 seconds, and I'll show you what a successful punch looks like. And I'll also be showing you what a successful parry looks like. Alright, so enough about abilities, let's move on to the main focus, which is strategies and how to properly use him. So, let's start off with tips and strategies for block. So, when using block, the main thing to be aware of is killers baiting your block. So, sometimes killers will try and bait you into using your block ability. If they trick you into doing this, mainly what they'll do is that they'll bait you into using the block. Once you've used the block, they'll just simply wait for the block to be over and then start attacking you. So you always have to be aware and cautious of when they're baiting you into trying to use your block. I feel as if the best way to know that a killer is baiting you into using your block is if they are making quick or swift movements as if they're trying to hit you, but they're not actually. So they're running after you and you're making a bunch of moves and they're following your moves, and it looks like they're trying to like hit you when they actually aren't. So always be aware of when a killer is trying to bait you into using your block ability. The best way to use a block is that you should always be quick to react. When you feel as if the killer is about to swing, that's the best time to use your block. Mainly using block requires quick reaction time and knowing when to properly use it. So, imagine that a killer is about to swing and you see it because you have quick reaction time, like, oh, this killer is about to hit me, I should use my block. And so once you've used it, you've successfully landed a block. Now, the best way to know if a killer is not really knowing what they're doing is a killer will mainly swing a lot, and that's a clear sign that you should use your block, because at least 9 times out of 10 when a killer just keeps running after you and swinging, you can use your block and they'll probably hit it because they might be new or something. Now, let's move on to charging. So, the best time to use charging is when a teammate is in a chase, because using your charge against the killer when your teammate is being chased will push the killer back once you charge into them, and it'll apply helpless, so you're pushing the killer back a couple feet away from your teammate, which allows your teammate to make a little distance to still keep running, or they could maybe stop to gain a little bit of stamina. Sometimes a killer might go after you if you use the charge, and I don't really know why. Maybe they're probably upset or just giving up on their target. But using a charge when a teammate is in a chase is the best way, as it'll apply helpless to the killer, push them back a little bit, and it'll make them stop running. So yeah, using charge in any other way just kind of seems useless. So it's best to use it when a player is in a chase. Now, we'll be moving on to Punch. Now, Punch is the most complicated ability due to its complex strategic needs. So, to properly land a punch, what you don't want to do is that if you're in an active chase, don't just use the punch while you're in the chase, because the killer will see you and they might, either the killer might or might not see you about to use your punch, depending on if they have slow reaction time or they're new. But don't try to use the punch while you're in a chase, because it gives the killer time to see that you're about to punch, so they'll move out of the way and then they'll be able to hit you. The best time to use a punch is to run and then go around a corner and then use the punch. But if a killer is experienced and kind of knows a lot of stuff about the survivors, then they might predict that you're not actually running and you're just standing behind that corner waiting for them to come so you can punch them. So if this is sort of the case, then what you want to do is go around a corner and then wait a little bit and then keep running to make it seem like you're still running away from them. So try to keep running around corners and then wait for like a sort of perfect moment to punch the killer. So once you turn a corner, keep running to give the illusion that you're still running and to like sort of hide the intention that you're about to use your punch. So kind of run around corners instead of just instantly going around one to punch. Keep running around corners, and then once you feel like the time is right, make sure to land your punch, because the killer might avoid going to the corner, and like they might, like, let's take into perspective, there's this like huge entrance, you go around the corner of the entrance and you use your punch, but unfortunately the killer is away because they're in the middle of the entrance walking through that way, so you might end up missing your punch. So you want to make sure that the killer is going to the corner that you're hiding behind and not from away from the corner. Now, when using punch, let's talk about let's talk about parrying. So, parrying is definitely much more difficult to land, as a killer might predict that you're going to parry or you're not going to parry. You'll never really know when a guest is going to either parry or just run away after using a block. But at least most of the time, a killer will probably expect you to just use your block and then run away, because parries are pretty hard to land. When landing a parry, try to go in first person, so that way, if you block and the killer tries to run away, If you go in first person, you can quickly turn to the direction of the killer and then land your punch. If you do it in third person, it's definitely going to be a lot harder, and this is coming from personal experience. So when you're landing a parry, once you block, try to instantly go into first person or go into first person before you land the block. So you're in first person, you land the block, and then if the killer tries running away because they think you're going to land a parry, then try to quickly press R and then turn in the direction of where the killer is going, and then you'll be able to hit them. So in conclusion, when landing blocks, try to figure out when the killer is baiting you into using it, have quick reaction time, and also you can try running into the killer when they're attacking, because when they swing, their hitbox lingers for a little, and if you walk into that, you'll get hit. So when they swing, try to run towards them and then land your block so they can hit your block. And when charging, always use it during chases to knock the killer back and to apply helpless to them so they can't swing, and to slow them down, to sort of give your teammate an advantage to escape and give yourself an advantage since the killer can't do anything to you for a whole second. When landing punches, try to do them around corners, or try to run around corners a lot to try and give the illusion that like you're going to punch but you're not. Like you go around one corner, don't punch, go around another corner, don't punch, and then once you feel like the moment is right, then you punch. And then parrying, always try to go in first person when you're doing the punch, because as I said from personal experience, landing a parry in third person is definitely kind of hard. So when landing a parry, either go in first person and block, or block and then go in first person, turn in the direction of the killer, and then punch. But yeah, that's basically a tutorial on how to 1337 for amateurs. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope this either helps you, and if it doesn't, then I'm definitely not sorry.